Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Moto Adventures and I'm Joel. Today we're going to talk about, you guessed it in the title, riding in cold weather, riding year-round. There is no such thing as a riding season unless you live somewhere in this earth that has the streets covered in snow and ice 24/7 throughout the wintertime. Now there's probably places, Alaska and northern parts of Europe and whatnot, Canada, that is the case. Please put down in the comments if that's the case where you live and whether or not you still ride, because that's badass. All right, what's not badass is putting your bike in the garage or under a cover out back or in the shed and putting it on a battery tender maybe, and then just leaving it because you feel like, oh, I've just had one last ride for the end of the season. Come on, guys. Really? No. No, your bikes are going to talk crap about you. And if you've got more than one bike, they sit there and talk crap about you. They let their seals leak. They let their batteries die. They do all kinds of stuff because they just don't respect you. All right? So what we're going to do, we're going to get you set up and how the ways that you can stay warm, at least tolerably so, and still enjoy riding and keep that bike from going to crap at sitting in the shed while the gas goes bad. Okay? So first, I'm going to start with head to toe. If I can find links to these products, I will put them links in the description of the video. I do not have affiliate links. I do not get sponsored by any of these products or any of these vendors. It's just where I tend to shop. Okay, and the reason I say if I can find links, some of these products I've had for several years and they are no longer available, but at least you can search that type of product and see what is available today. So, starting with the head. There are two different types of helmets. I've got my ADV helmet and my street helmet. Now, just because you're riding an ADV bike to work doesn't mean you have to wear your ADV helmet. You can just put on your street helmet and have less wind resistance and a few other things. So I'll get into that. First, all right, let's look at the ADV helmet. This is just a Sedici, Viaggio, or however you say it. And I may pronounce things differently than you. I may pronounce them incorrectly, but that's the way it is. So, thing with the ADV helmet, and you want one that has a visor that closes, right? You don't want one that you have to wear goggles because then your face is open to the elements. But with the visor closed, a lot of times you're going to end up fogging. So either you get a helmet that has a pin lock set up on the visor, or that you can get a visor for that is set up for pin lock, or what I did with this one, this is a more budget-friendly helmet that I've had and it works great, is there's a screen that I got off of Amazon, very inexpensive, that just sticks on. You clean the inside of your visor really well with glass cleaner, and you wear some latex gloves to keep the fingerprints off everything, and you stick that screen in here, and it gives you that air pocket to keep your visor from fogging up. That is, even when it's not really cold out yet, that is one of the first things safety related, that when it starts to get cool enough that where you need to ride with your visor closed, you could get some fog in there and not be able to see. And I got frog in my throat. So, one thing about an ADV helmet, especially if it's windy, you got all this, sun visor up here that's getting in the way, but just when it's cold, it may not be windy, but the front of the helmet is further out than on a street helmet, generally speaking. And what that does is gives a lot of room in here for the cold air to get in to the helmet. So one thing I prefer, even if I'm riding my KLR, I will wear my street helmet because it has a built-in like a chin apron right here. And what that does, that's up against the bottom of your jaw here, and that keeps that cold air from blasting inside that helmet. This helmet also came with a visor that's set up for pin lock, and it came with the screen in the box. So you spend a little more money on nicer helmets. A lot of times, there's a lot of reason for that. So another thing you want is a helmet that has vents that you can close. Like this one has, the face vent and then the vent up here that can close, because you don't want that cold air vented inside the helmet. So some of the lesser expensive, especially off-road oriented helmets, may have vents that don't close. So look at that when you're looking for your cold weather helmet. All right. So especially with the street helmet with the chin apron in there, I've ridden into the, all my temperatures are going to be Fahrenheit, so I'm not going to keep saying that word throughout the video. So I've ridden into the low 30s, high 20s, and been fine with just the helmet on, nothing else. If you find that that is not good enough, you're still chilly, and your head's still chilly, or if you're riding in the colder weather, like if I'm riding in the low 20s, high teens, I'm going to wear this baklava. Yeah, I think that's a baklava. And this one is synthetic material so that if I do sweat or if there is moisture in the air, it doesn't just get soaked like if it were made of cotton or something like that. So get you a synthetic, it's lightweight, it's moisture wicking. They have them just the regular with the eye ports. I like this one because it has vents and like a neoprene, like a wetsuit material right here in front of my nose and mouth, so that that doesn't get soaking wet and start building up ice and whatnot from the condensation from my breathing. So I got this at like Academy Sports, and it's probably in the $30 to $40 range. And if it's really cold out and there's some leaks of cold air getting in through here and there on your helmet, this really helps knock that out. All right, so that's for your cabeza. Now for your neck, even with that chin apron, you still got this part right here, and a lot of times some other stuff I wear will zip up to here, but it still leaves a gap. So a neck gaiter, an insulated neck gaiter, not one like you wear fishing that's made to, breathe for hot weather. This one has a fleece lining, and I got this one at Brooks Brothers and love it, but you can get them pretty much anywhere. Just make sure it's a fleece lined neck gaiter. And I will tuck the bottom in. I'll put it on before I put my jacket on, and then when I zip my jacket up, it's got it covered, and then I will pull it up to my chin and strap my helmet underneath it to keep all of this nice and toasty cozy warm, because it's just really irritating when to get that 20-degree air and you're doing 60 miles an hour and it's like a blade of cold air, just horrible. This solves it. It's like $15. All right, got the head, got the neck. Now, one of the best pieces of equipment I've purchased in my adventure riding and all of that over the last 3.5 or so years is this jacket. It's a Sedici. You'll notice a theme sort of. I've always said throughout my channel, I go for bang for buck. Do I have climb stuff? Some stuff, yeah, but only because it was a really good sale or something about it is unattainable somewhere else for a lesser amount of money. But I like the Sedici stuff. It works. This jacket is filthy because I've used it for a long time, ridden a lot of miles in it. But what I like about it is this is basically a 4-season jacket. It comes with a rain liner and a thermal liner, and then the exterior has vents that you can unzip here and there. It's got the CE rated padding in it. It's got a spot for spine pad. It's got the shoulder pads, elbow pads, all that good stuff. Now, with the good thing about the full liner is I've got jackets that have just the torso liner. It's like a vest liner that zips into the jacket. Problem is, you get into the mid 40s and colder, your arms do get cold. The wind blast on the arms of the jacket, that cold radiates into your arms if you're just wearing a t-shirt underneath. So down into the mid 40s or even 40, down to 40 itself, I can wear a t-shirt under this on my way to work. And a 45-minute, hour-long ride in high 30s, low 40s, I'm comfortable in just a t-shirt. Now, a lot of times in the early season, early fall, late spring, it'll be cold in the morning, but then it'll be 60, 70 degrees in the afternoon. So the reason I say get a jacket with multiple liners is you can just pull the liners out, stick them in your panniers or your backpack or whatever you got, and then just wear the outer protective layer on your way home in the warmer weather. And these liners, they have snaps and stuff where a series of snaps color coded inside the cuff, and then you zip them in here and snap them. I don't do all that, okay? Because I'm going to work wearing all this stuff, and then I leave work and it's warm. I don't want to deal with that all the time, so I just don't snap all that in. I just put the liners on and then put the jacket on, okay? put the liner on, hang onto the cuff, put your arm through the jacket, and then that way you just alleviates a lot of trouble. So that's what I wear down to about 40 degrees. I can wear my t-shirt that I wear at work underneath it. If it gets into the high 30s, I will put a lightweight base layer over my work shirt. That way, when I get home, when I get to work, I can just unzip the jacket, put it wherever I'm going to put it, and then just take this off, and I'm ready to go to work. So especially if you work in an office or a heated environment. Now this, I wear the light base layer down to probably low 30s. And if it gets below 32, if it gets freezing or below, so I will put on just a thicker, heavier, more insulated base layer, again, over top of my work shirt, and then I can just peel it off when I get to work. So, and then I can wear it if it's still cold, and if it's winter time, I can still wear it on the way home, just put it over my work shirt, or if it's not, I just throw it in the pannier, whatever. Now, if it's in the 20s or lower, teens and 20s, I haven't ridden below the teens. I think the coldest I've ever ridden is probably 11 degrees. And not because, oh, it's 8 degrees, I'm not going to ride. It's just never got colder for me to try it. So I know for sure wearing my thick base layer, my liners in my jacket, down into the 20s and teens, I put on this heated vest. It's got a lithium battery in it, and it comes with a charger. Battery just zips out of a pocket, and you can charge it on your counter and put it back in, plug it in when you're ready to go. And I'll put this on over top of my base layers, but underneath my jacket liners. And you just push the button, hold it for a few seconds, boom, it comes on. And it's got 3 levels. That's high, medium, and low. And I ride with it on either medium or low. I've never needed it on high, and like I said, even into the teens. So, and then when you're done, you just hold the button, it turns off. Battery has lasted me. I've been on 8-hour rides in the cold, and the battery lasted the whole time, never shut off. So, again, something very easy if you're in early fall, late spring, and it's cold in the mornings and warm in the afternoons. Easy enough just to put that on, and then in the afternoon, tuck it in your bag and ride home without it. So that's from the waist up, down to 20s and teens. There's a couple different ways for waist down. And the reason it's a couple different ways and it gets a little weird, convoluted, is because I'm talking about this like I'm going to work. I'm commuting to work. Because that's what most of us do, throughout the week. If you're doing weekend rides in the cold, how you layer is different because you're not changing. You're not changing environments. You're going to be in that cold weather environment for a while. So, stay. What I'll do because I work in a warehouse that is not temperature controlled, climate controlled, and it's 40 degrees or colder. I wear, work cargo pants, and then I will wear a light. These are Under Armour. Reebok makes them. A bunch of different companies make them. Running tights is basically what these are. Got them at Academy Sports, and they're not very expensive at all. And you'll put these on underneath your pants, and you can wear them all, work outdoors or whatever, then you just wear them under your pants all day long. And if I'm riding longer or in really cold weather, meaning in the 30s, 20s, teens, these are made by Pearl Izumi. There are other companies that make them, but I like these. These are mountain biking, cold weather mountain biking tights. I'm saying tights, pants, whatever, if you don't like the word tights. But they're made by Pearl Izumi. And they have different levels of fleece lining and waterproofing that you can purchase. So these are just the basic ones. They're probably like $110. Got a nice thin layer of fleece, and they're like waterproof against mist. I wouldn't wear them in pouring rain. But these are thicker than these, so when it's really much colder, I'll put these on underneath pants. And then the other option is my overpant, my riding pants. These are Sedici as well. They got the C-rated knee pads that come with them. They've got pockets in there that you can put the hip protection if you want. And these have a thermal liner and a rain liner, and they're mesh. So these are my 4-season pants. I can pull the liners out of them and then ride them in the summertime, and I have my knee protection and the little bit tougher material in the spots that might make contact with the ground should I have an oopsie. But the front of them are mesh, so it keeps me nice and cool in the summertime. But in the wintertime with the liners in them, these things are quite warm. If I'm in a situation where, let's say it's cold in the morning, you want to ride to work, but it's not cold where you're going to be working. Your workspace is warm, so you don't want leggings under, or tights, whatever, base layer underneath your work pants all day long because you'll be sweating yourself silly and uncomfortable. Well, then skip that part. Just put these on, and then all you have to do is take your shoes on and off, right? You get to work, you take your shoes off, take the pants off, put your shoes back on. And then if it's not cold in the evening when you're riding home, you can, if you want the protection, pull the liners out and just wear the mesh over your work pants. Or you can just wear your work pants. What I do, I just tuck these in my pannier just like it is. And so there's different ways to layer based on the circumstances of your ride and of the circumstances of where you're where you're riding to. So that's how you kind of figure out, am I going to wear a base layer underneath my work pants all day if I'm working outside or in a cold, somewhat cool environment? If not, then wear the overpant. If yes, you can try the liners and not be so bulky, get to work, not have to take your shoes off and all that stuff. So there's just different ways you can do it depending on your situation. All right, so the other thing is socks. Of course, they make heated socks, hunting socks, all that sort of stuff. I've never needed them. If I'm on an ADV ride, I've got my boots up to the base of my, the bottom of my kneecap, and they keep me nice and toasty. I do wear a thick sock, but not a heated sock. So if you're in a really cold place, maybe that's something you need. What I do notice is when I wear my work boots and just the tights under the base layers underneath, sometimes my ankles will catch, a sharp cold blast of air from somewhere, or some wind or whatever. So there's that to think about. It just depends on how cold natured you are. But if I'm wearing my overpant, they hang down all the way over my ankles and I stay nice and warm. I don't need heated socks, never have. But they're out there if you think you need them. Now, one thing when you're buying your jacket and your overpants and whatnot is you want to think about the sizing being able to wear stuff underneath them. You don't want your overpant to fit like yoga pants, all right? None of us want to see that. You don't want to feel that. But seriously, these are like 2X. I have a 34 waist, 32 inseam, and I got the 2X jacket. I got the 2X pants. Seems like overkill, but I noticed they're kind of size small anyway. But I want room underneath for the base layers of different thicknesses, for vests and base layers under the jacket. So just give yourself room if you haven't purchased those things yet. To wear your warm weather stuff underneath it, your snow gear. So, all right, that's from head, torso, neck, legs, all that's covered, right? So here's the part where I have struggled with riding in cold weather. I don't think I have poor circulation to my hands, but sometimes I'll get somewhere after just an hour of riding and my hands would be so numb and my fingers so painful, specifically my fingers, not so much my hands, but my fingers would be so numb and painful, I couldn't unhook the latch on my helmet. That's how bad it was. And it was like 40 degrees out. So there's some things you can do as far as gloves, and then there's things you can do as far as the bike itself. So I'll start from like 45 degrees on down. So 45 degrees. I'm switching from my summer vented gloves to these solid leather gloves that have a very thin but palpable synthetic liner. These keep me warm from 45 down to, well, let me say from 50 down to about 45. Okay, so yeah, these are more like 50 to 45, and they've got the hardened knuckles and the palm pads and all that, and they work pretty well. Now I get below into the low 40s, high 30s. There's a couple different types of winter gloves. These are some Alpine Star WRX Gore-Tex gloves, and they've got the palm pads, they've got the hardened knuckles. It's synthetic, it's not leather or faux leather or anything like that. They've got the gauntlet, so when you start getting into the low 40s and below, you want a gauntlet style glove that'll go over the cuff of your jacket to keep the wind from coming up your arms. These were not cheap. They're like $170 at Cycle Gear. And so if you're a member, you can get, and a veteran and all that, you can get discount, but still, they're pricey. And basically, these are ski gloves with hardened knuckles and palm pads for motorcycling. I ride maybe 45 minutes to an hour to work, and in high 30s, at about the 45-minute mark, your fingertips start to hurt. And this I'm talking about on a bike with no hand guards, no wind protection, no heated gloves or heated grips, no nothing. All right, just a regular old out in the open set of handlebars. And so yeah, 45 minutes in the high 30s, low 40s, the fingertips start to hurt. And that's speeds upwards to 65 miles an hour. So what's above this that's still glove related is these are battery powered heated gloves. Now anytime I have heated gear, I don't like the idea of heated gear that plugs in to a charge port or whatever on the bike. I don't like the wires attaching me to the bike. It's just cumbersome and weird, and I don't like it. Yeah, I know it'll unplug if you have to dismount suddenly, but at the same time, I don't like it. I prefer everything to be self-contained. It's just easier, and I've already got my charge port for my music. I got to have my tunes, man. So these are, again, just like the vest, battery operated, and got them off of Amazon, probably $130 for the pair. And around the $100 to $150 mark seems to be the no-name China gloves. Seem to be all in that price range, but they work pretty well. And again, just like the vest, so you hold the button and it's high, and then you got a couple settings, and that's cool. So I generally ride with them on the coolest level because one thing in particular, and it's why it led me down the road of other things that I'm going to talk about here. These heated gloves heat the back of your hand. They don't heat the palm, they don't heat the fingers, because the heating elements can't withstand all the movement and gripping and all the things you need to do. So it heats the back of your hand. If you turn these all the way up, hoping that the heat will radiate more down your fingers, it does radiate a little bit, but the problem is I've gotten almost like a first-degree burn on the back of my hand from having these on high. So there's that. So again, with the heated gloves, with $170 glorified ski gloves, my fingers after an hour still hurt, okay, of anything in the 30s or below. And I ride a lot in that temperature range. And, you know, it's usually in the mid 20s to high 30s through the winter here. So the next step is the motorcycle itself. And what I have found on the KLR 650 is I've got the 3D cycle parts, plug and play Oxford kit, heated grips, and they work really well. If you have aftermarket bars like I do, I've had Pro Taper bars with a knurled grip area, murder to get on. Oh my God. hardest thing I have ever done on that upgrade I've ever done on that motorcycle. Physically speaking, it was so hard to get those damn things on there. I had to file things and sand things and heat things and cool things. It was murder. It took me like a day to get those stupid grips on. It was easy. The wiring was easy. Getting the grips on the bars, on those Pro Taper bars, whew. So on a factory bar that's not knurled where the grips are is probably okay. Anyway, so got the heated grips and my heated gloves. My palms were warm. The back of my hand was warm. My fingertips were still not warm. Okay, half the time your fingers are, on the clutch, on the brake, whatever. And even I've got the Tusk hand guards, and they don't really keep wind off of your fingertips. So what I went to was Hippo Hands Alcans, their highest, warmest set of muffs, if you want to call them that. And they strap to the hand guards on the inside, and then they close and the Velcro on themselves if you've never seen them before. So with the Hippo Hands and the heated grips, I can wear these at pretty much any temperature. And so what's so good about that? Well, the really good thing about that is these are not as thick as either of these winter gloves. So you have much more dexterity in your fingers when you're trying to hit mode switches and blinkers and horns and operate your clutch and your brake. It's just much easier to do. Yes, it hides your controls, but really, if you've been riding a while, you don't look at your controls anyway. You know where they're at. It's muscle memory. So yeah, I can wear these. I can even wear my summer gloves with my Hippo Hands and my heated grips. So solved. Problem solved. All right, so why are we still talking? Because I got a different bike also. I have the GSX-8R and the sport bike, and you can't put Hippo Hands on it because you need like those off-road style bark buster Tusk, hand guards to strap the Hippo Hands to. And you can't put those on a sport bike because they'll hit the fairing. So I struggled for a little while, and then I found some little $16 cheapy China muffs that slip over the handlebars and the controls, and then you just take a strap and cinch them tight around so that they don't come off. Now, they are kind of snug. I've ridden with them one day so far, and it was probably the coldest day of the year, and I had my battery-powered heated gloves on, and they worked. Now, you have to be careful putting your hands in, hands out, because they are kind of small. I have size large hands, which, so if you have big old meat hooks, you're going to have trouble getting your hands in and out of those. So it can be a safety issue if you have real big hands. But so far, for me, they work. And I was going to go out and put video of, all the bike mods in here, but instead, because it's really cold outside and I don't want to, I'm just going to put pictures of each in the like here and here. Here's the thing. The Suzuki does not have heated grips. I don't plan on putting on heated grips. I just want, because it does clutter things up and there's not a lot of space on that bike for extra, control panels and whatnot. What I found work with I call them grip muffs, with the Hippo Hands and that style of hand cover, either heated grips or heated gloves and those grip covers, grip muffs, work amazing. Highway speeds down into the 20s and perfectly comfortable with two elements. All right, so if I've got heated grips and the Hippo Hands, I can wear summer gloves. If I have no heated grips, but I have the grip muffs, then I need heated gloves. And what happens is the heat radiating off the back of the glove fills up the inside air on the muff, and it keeps everything nice and toasty and your hands don't hurt. So there you go. I hope I've giving you some ideas. If you don't ride in the winter, if you think there's such a thing as a riding season in the lower 48 states, and yeah, I know the UP and Syracuse and all that, maybe, you know, those really far north areas, maybe there's snow on the pavement for days on end and you don't want to, you know, it's not safe to ride. That's fine. But for the rest of us, and I've got people in Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia telling me there's a riding season, come on. Don't be like that. Let's be realistic. Let's not be little girls about it, all right? And that's an insult to little girls. So, yep, that's everything. If you have found something else that works or that you like, put it in the comments. If you think I'm full of crap, put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit the dingy bell. I don't know what my next video is going to be about. I never know. Well, I don't say never say never, but it's going to be motorcycle related. When something pops up that I see people talking about, I'll probably make a video about it. So if you want to see that, please hit the subscribe. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Go ride. Don't snivel.